Milton William Cooper, also known as Bill Cooper, is perhaps one of, if not the most influential figure in modern-day conspiracy theory. He's no longer with us to continue to give us his spin on the world, but many of the leading names in conspiracy theory today have followed in his footsteps. So much so that, in hearing about him, you'd probably think he was the guy behind all those dubious articles you saw on Facebook earlier today. His theories and predictions range from the ridiculously outlandish to the true. Yeah, some of the things this guy predicted really materialized, including his own death. When he returned from the war, Cooper knew he had to inform the public about what the government was doing. Well, it's only right, and intended to contact a reporter. Around the same time, he was involved in an accident when his motorcycle allegedly hit a black limousine. This resulted in his right leg being amputated above the knee. In the hospital, Cooper claims he was visited by two men who asked him if he'd learned his lesson, presumably the occupants of the black limo trying to cow him into silence. Cooper told them that he had indeed learned his lesson, but internally he knew the lesson was in fact not learned, and that the information had to get out. Behold a Pale Horse was published. Here Cooper expanded upon his theory that the government was in contact with an alien race. The world was actually ruled by the Illuminati, who were in turn being controlled by the aliens, and the aliens' plan was to turn a portion of Earth's population into slave labour, and for this to work smoothly, the Illuminati would need to bring in a single global government, the New World Government. Man-made AIDS, Protocols of the Elders of Zion, the Bilderberg Group, the Knights Templar, Freemasons, Majestic 12, the Trilateral Commission, etc., etc. You might think it all sounds crazy, but Cooper does explicitly state his conclusions may be wrong, and his intent is only to convince you that none of us know the truth about this world, and everyone should do their own research and search for that truth. Behold a Pale Horse slowly became an underground bestseller, and Cooper began hosting a show on shortwave radio called The Hour of the Time. Having the FBI show up to his house did not please Cooper, and he was beginning to suspect he was at the centre of some sort of plan to silence him. This, of course, only bolstered his beliefs and furthered his commitment to spreading English. He noticed the rising trend of prescribing drugs like Prozac and Ritalin to kids and teenagers, and worried it would lead to a rash of school shootings, which in turn would be used as an excuse by the government to take away citizens' arms. That was 8 years before the Columbine school shooting. He also predicted a massive tragedy would occur in the US and the blame would be pinned on Osama bin Laden. This would lead to war in foreign countries, bombing campaigns, and increased surveillance on American citizens. That was 2 months before 9/11.
Now, it's just important to note that the police said Cooper was running away from him while shooting back. However, William Cooper only had one leg.
Sure, the government was moving for total control, and he would be silenced for his resistance. He had previously believed he was being targeted by Bill Clinton himself, although we all know old Bill was preoccupied with other. Cooper told his audience that he was aware he was a hunted man, and that he was soon going to be shot. In November 2001, they decided they would draw Cooper out by posing as another annoying group of people around Cooper's property, parking their car not far away and playing loud music. And sure enough, Cooper came out in his truck, but he sensed something was off, and instead of trying to shoo them away as he usually did, he turned tail. The deputies gave chase. Allegedly. When he reached his driveway, Cooper got out of his truck and made for his front door, firing at the deputies and striking one in the head, mortally wounding him. The deputies fired back, and Cooper was struck 9 times and killed on his doorstep, just as he had predicted. Of course, many dispute this version of events and claim Cooper was assassinated. Indeed, his death galvanized his support and cemented his legacy as a martyr. Even his old nemesis Alex Jones would go on to praise him as a genius, saying he looked into his work after his death and found it to be amazing.
And then I listened to Bill Cooper, and it was like incredible stuff about 9/11's coming and like all this really smart stuff. And I was like, God, I didn't know this guy was this smart.